Dear Evan Hansen is a musical that really needs no introduction. It is everywhere. If you go down to Main Street and start blasting Waving Through a Window, I'm sure you'll have at least one crazy person burst into song. Back when it was written in 2016, Dear Evan Hansen took the world by storm, infecting high schools across the nation, and proving to those who felt alone that they, too, could be heard. But why is that? And how is that? What did Dear Evan Hansen do to capture the hearts and minds of the average high school theater kid? Well, my dear viewers, that's exactly what we'll be exploring today. Disclaimer, this project will be pretty opinion-based. That means it will be based off of my thoughts and my opinions on this musical. It's alright if we don't agree. I know I have some pretty controversial thoughts and takes on musicals, and that's alright. If we didn't disagree, there would be no flavor in life. So, let's hop right into it, shall we? What is theater? Theater is storytelling through words, songs, dancing, and other theatery buzzwords that everyone in this class already knows about. But a story needs to tell a story, right? Well, Dear Evan Hansen certainly tells a story. The musical follows Evan Hansen, shocker, a socially anxious, depressed, awkward high school senior who lives in a single-parent household. Seeing a therapist, Evan is instructed to write letters to himself, which always start off with, Dear Evan Hansen. The cards of life are already stacked against him when one day, as he's writing his letter, he meets another boy. Connor Murphy is a socially awkward, anxious, depressed, awkward high school Hey, wait a minute. While Connor and Evan share a lot of similarities in this sense, they are very different in their ways of going about it. Connor Murphy is outwardly expressive, channeling his depression and anxiety into fits of anger and rage. He attacks those around him rather than focusing on what's going on inside. Evan, however, does focus on what's going inside. He channels his anxiety inward, leading him to question his every move. He has no self-confidence in himself, and he really has no real friends. Eventually, the story comes to a head when Evan is no longer able to keep up with all the lies he's been interweaving throughout the story. Eventually, he has to come clean to the Murphy family that he and Connor were not actually friends, and he was the one who wrote the letter that Evan had taken on that fateful day. The story it's alright. It's true to life in the fact that many high schoolers feel as if they are invisible, but is quite obviously not targeted for people such as myself. It's great that there is someone that high schoolers that feel invisible can look up to, but is Evan truly the best role model to have? Guided by selfish ambition, he goes on to gain from this tragedy, until he finally grows a conscience towards the end of the play. Further, everyone seems to try to gain from this tragic event rather than comfort the family or just tell them the truth about what had happened. Overall, this story is alright. But the music? The music is something else. In any musical theater production, it's important to have an earworm or two. And believe me, Dear Evan Hansen has some pretty stellar songs, such as
Waving through a window, sincerely.
Are we done yet?
If I could tell her everything I see. If I could tell
God, Connor's sister's so hot, oh my lord, oh God, Connor's sister's so hot, I wish I could tell her, oh my. Written by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, both creators with numerous other hits under their belts, Dear Evan Hansen was set up for success. I could listen to the soundtrack on repeat with no issue. Each song does a great job of conveying the feeling of the scene that it is a part of. On their own, the songs are wonderful, but make you believe a different version of the story. It's strange, really. Something that I hadn't seen in any other musical. The music goes hard, but conveys a completely different story from the one the actual play is explaining. Overall, the music on its own is exceptionally well made. This theme of being invisible is persistent throughout the play. The idea that no one cares. But Evan, through his own ways, be they selfish or otherwise, overcomes this feeling of invisibility. He fakes it until he makes it, making a huge mess and a web of lies along the way. Some latched on to this idea that he could finally be good enough. And in the dark times of high school, that's really a good thing. While I find this theme of overcoming invisibility to be a wonderful thing, I personally believe it was done in bad taste. The way Evan lies through the play for his own selfish gain, or for his inability to stand up for himself, was completely foreign to me. In my watch through, I couldn't help but feel a tinge of irritation every time Evan furthered this lie of being Connor's friend. I wanted to go up to him so badly, shake him down and tell him to just come clean. That it clouded my overall experience with the play. In my own personal life, I have never had this feeling of needing to be good enough as Evan did, nor did I feel invisible, per se. I found it incredibly hard to like the main character of this musical, or any character for that matter. And when the characters aren't likable, the show's not likable either. If I had to give Dear Evan Hansen an arbitrary number rating like so many other of these review videos do, I would give it a solid 6 out of 10. The story of overcoming invisibility and being assured in oneself is a great message for those who need to hear it, but when it's done over a kid's suicide whose only connection Evan has is through his crush on his sister, it loses its luster. For me, anyway. The music is a bop, though.
If I could tell her everything I see. If I could tell her how she's everything to me. But we're a million worlds apart, and I don't know